What's going on YouTube? Sunny Boy Comics here, and today we're going to be going through my Amazing Spider-Man collection again. But first, before we get into the video, I'd like you to check out the last video going through my Amazing Spider-Man collection. From AF15 all the way up to issue 50, I go over the way I bought the books, talk about the books a little bit. Please check out that video if you haven't. Without further ado, we're going to get into the next part of my collection. Starting it off, I do not have an Amazing Spider-Man issue 51. It has been escaping me for some time, so everywhere I go at a comic shop, I'm always looking for that specific book. If they have it, then I'll definitely snag it. But I do have an Amazing Spider-Man issue 52, very low grade here. You can see there's some smudging and there's some dirt down here, but that does not bother me. The cover looks clean, looks great, other than the dirt down here, but I absolutely love this cover. Next, we have Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy going on their first date in Amazing Spider-Man issue 53 from 1967, I believe. Yep, 1967.
Or we could do something else, or we could, if you don't, I mean, like, we could...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, either one.
Really?
Sure.
Great Doc Ock cover right here. The OG costume. If you guys haven't seen the new Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show, we got the OG Doc Ock costume. But missing a little bit of the yellow here. Missing a little bit of the yellow. Next, a book that I finally was able to grab this past year. Amazing Spider-Man issue 54. Okay, I had this book in my collection years ago, but I made the mistake of buying into hype too much when Infinity War was coming out, and or it had just came out and we're moving on to Endgame. And people were saying that the next big bad villain was going to be Tyrant, which was his first appearance was in a Silver Surfer 82, I believe. And I had brought this book to a local Comic-Con, and that Silver Surfer 82, First Tyrant, was a wall book at the time. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to trade my Amazing Spider-Man 54 and see if I can make a trade for the next big bad villain and try to make a little spec play. And I decided to trade this Silver Age book for a speculation book, and it did not work out for myself. And that was back in 2018, 2019. And ever since I traded this away, I had never found an Amazing Spider-Man 54. And finally, I was able to find it at my local comic shop. And when I talked about that, and they said, man, never buy into hype like that again. And I won't. I'll buy into a little bit if it makes sense, but that one was just, it wasn't right. It wasn't worth it. So I'm very happy to have this back in the collection. Moving on, we have an iconic John Romita Sr. cover, an Amazing Spider-Man issue 55. I bought this back in college off of Instagram. It's a low grade. I mean, you can see that there's some little pen right here covering Doc Ock's teeth, but it does not matter to me. Doc Ock is such a legendary villain. So, Amazing Spider-Man issue 55 from 1967. Next, moving on, we have the Amazing Spider-Man issue 56, another Doc Ock cover here. Really iconic, and is the first appearance of Captain George Stacy.
Oh, yeah, Dad, did you catch that spider guy yet?
No, we didn't catch him yet, but we will. He's an amateur who's assaulting civilians in the dead of night. He's clumsy, he leaves clues, but still dangerous.
This one I bought at a Comic-Con past year, and easy deal done. Next, we have the Amazing Spider-Man issue 57, the first meeting of Spider-Man and Kazar. Really, really cool here, and my favorite part about this, the date stamp right here, 1967, absolutely epic. I don't know if we'll ever get a Kazar appearance. Maybe we will. Who knows? We'll find somebody. Maybe The Rock. Maybe The Rock will play him. Who knows? Next, I actually just picked this up yesterday. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 58, the first appearance of the Spider Slayer Mark II, and J. Jonah Jameson, my mistake here, an Amazing Spider-Man 58. I was able to get this book at Toys Time Forgot. Great shop. If you guys are ever in the Ohio area, definitely check it out. Next, we're going to move on to the Amazing Spider-Man issue 59, the first cover appearance of Mary Jane Watson, first brainwasher, and the first kiss, I believe, yes, the first kiss between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. I try to find these types of books, these Silver Age books, at local Comic-Cons or the big Comic-Cons. I know they'll be at the big Comic-Cons, but finding these types of books at a local con is always very, very cool and very special, to me at least. I like supporting small businesses, and to find it a local area, absolutely epic. But a great cover appearance here with Mary Jane. I mean, that's Spidey's girl. To me, it is. To me, it is Spidey's girl. Everyone's going to say Gwen Stacy, but Kirsten Dunst, we love that. Moving on to an iconic John Romita Sr. cover in Amazing Spider-Man issue 60, Kingpin. Who knows if Wilson Fisk will wear this, the green and yellow in the Daredevil Born Again. It may happen. We know we're going to get the iconic white, though. But this is also a really, really cool Spider-Man cover. Next, we have the first cover appearance of Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man 61. I got this at another local con, Akron Comic Con, this last year. Really nice cover here. Lower grade, that's how I'm buying these books. You guys know low grade is better than no grade. So next, after the Amazing Spider-Man 61, another John Romita Sr. cover in Amazing Spider-Man 62. I don't know if we'll ever get a Medusa in a movie. I highly doubt it, but again, maybe Marvel will make some moves and we'll get a Medusa. We'll see. Next, we have the Amazing Spider-Man 63 from 1968. Two vultures here. Really, really cool cover. Finding these covers, the black covers, are hard to find in good grade. Lower grade for sure. I mean, you can tell down here. Some tape pull. But it does not bother me. I believe there's another stamp on here. There's an address, but I cannot see the date. But you can see there's a little stamp right there. I think it's just a genuine piece to the comic. Next, we have the Amazing Spider-Man issue 64. I bought this back in college in the local area. They didn't have a whole lot of Silver Age Spidey, but once I saw this one, I said, I know I don't have it, and I didn't pay too much for it. But again, there's another date stamp here, June 13th, but there is no year. You're hoping that it's the 1968 date. But I think of Vulture, seeing Michael Keaton come back as the Vulture would be great.
Feeling a little resistance.
It's probably just drag on the new turbines.
For Marvel, for Spider-Man. I loved the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. It's one of my favorite Spidey movies. Next, we're going to move on to The Impossible Escape of Amazing Spider-Man issue 65. I also found this in college. Once I was selling books, I was always trying to take that and put it back into comic book shopping and find stuff for the personal collection. So this Amazing Spider-Man issue 65 is also a lower grade. You can see there's pencil colored in on his eyes a little bit there. Hoping you guys can see that. But that also does not bother me at all when buying a Silver Age book like this. All right, next, iconic John Romita Sr. cover again. He's a legend, and that's why he's one of my favorite artists. Amazing Spider-Man 66, Mysterio, Spider-Man Far From Home was I really enjoyed it. I love that they worked in Civil War. They tied Civil War into a Spider-Man movie with the illusion tech that Tony Stark used. I gotta say, Mysterio is a great villain. I love the plot twist when everyone thinks that Mysterio's a hero, and actually he isn't. Moving on, we have the first appearance of Randy Robertson in Amazing Spider-Man 67. I also loved this type of visual with Spider-Man Far From Home and tying it to this type of comic here, this comic cover. When I was watching Spider-Man Far From Home, and you could really see how Mysterio was toying with Spider-Man, and it really spoke to me. I mean, I understood it, and I understood why they did it the way they did. This is how it goes. This is where they got it from. So another really cool cover from Romita Sr. here in Amazing Spider-Man 67. Next, we have the debut of the Lifetime tablet, Crisis on Campus, and Amazing Spider-Man 68. I believe I got this off of Instagram from a raffle I entered into. Again, some tape pull here. Does not bother me at all, as long as you can see the iconic cover here of Spidey. And I've seen this image on like glasses, like drinking glasses and stuff like that. This is such a really cool Spider-Man pose. This is just a great issue from October 11th, 1968. That hit the newsstands. That's sick. Next, we have the first mention of Vanessa Fisk in Amazing Spider-Man issue 69. Again, the green clothing. Who knows if we'll see Vincent D'Onofrio don that, but again, Kingpin and Spider-Man duking it out. I believe it will happen in Spider-Man 4. We'll see, though. I really think that they should incorporate Kingpin and make Spider-Man 4 a street-level film. Next, we have the first cameo of Vanessa Fisk in Amazing Spider-Man 70. I got this at Cleveland Comic-Con last year when I was searching for books for this whole run, and I knew I didn't have 70, and I was able to work out an easy cash deal for an iconic cover, Spider-Man Wanted. Next, we have Quicksilver making an appearance in Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man issue 71. I entered also into a raffle and won this. It was the same raffle. I won like a bunch of Silver Age Spidey books, and the chances of me winning it were very, very tiny. There was like 170 people or however many people. I only bought one spot at like $2, and my number was called. It was crazy. But I got an Amazing Spider-Man 71 from that. Gotta say, really cool cover here. Let me know in the comments, do you think Spider-Man could beat Quicksilver, or is Quicksilver running circles around him like this? I think Spidey could take him, as always. I think he's the best. Next, we have Amazing Spider-Man issue 72, the second appearance of the Shocker.
Gave you a choice.
I gotta say, he's an underrated villain, and I hope that they bring him back for upcoming films of Spider-Man, or just any type of New York vibe. Let me see Daredevil take on the Shocker. That'd be sick. But this is a really cool cover. Amazing Spider-Man 74. I was able to, I think they had it priced at like 20-some bucks. I offered 10 and they took it. So, I mean, to get a Silver Age book for 10 bucks, it is definitely lower grade, but that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. So, another one checked off. Next, we have the another iconic artwork, iconic cover by John Romita Sr. with Amazing Spider-Man issue 75. Find this book in high grade, you know you're gonna be paying a lot. So I found a lower grade version here. A little bit of red pen at the top. Again, does not bother me. The spine is a little beat up. Black covers here are hard to find in high grade. And to even find this book without it being disheveled and really ripped up, because, I mean, any type of color creasing or any type of tear, you're going to see that on the black cover here. I believe I bought this off of Instagram back when I first started collecting. Amazing Spider-Man 76, a really cool lizard cover here. Let me know, what do you guys think? Do you think Spider-Man will ever battle the lizard again? Do you think Tom Holland's Spider-Man will battle the lizard? I don't think they will, but again, they could call back anybody or just start a new version with it. We'll see. The Lizard isn't my most favorite villain of Spider-Man, but I gotta say, he's cool for sure. Don't get me wrong, but he's not my absolute favorite. Next, we have Amazing Spider-Man 77 in the blaze of battle. Human Torch and Spider-Man duking it out with the Lizard. Really, really cool. I love when they do crossovers like this, especially the Human Torch with Spidey. Really sweet. Next, we have, going along with the gang war, I have the first appearance of Prowler back on the big screen. It should happen. Amazing Spider-Man 78 here. Got a little sticker. Again, does not bother me that it's on there. It's lower grade, but I'm cool with it. It's the first appearance of the Prowler. It's hard to find this book in high grade, or it may not be hard to find it in high grade, but you're going to be paying a lot more for this book in high grade. Next, we have the second appearance of the Prowler in Amazing Spider-Man 79. This is a really cool cover. He's getting pushed out the window here, and there's glass shattering all over the place. But what you don't really notice, and this is my mistake when I was first learning about comic books and collecting them, when I take a comic book out of the bag, you got to take the tape off. You got to take the tape off. I had this in a bag with a board, but it had masking tape. I had 2 pieces of masking tape on there instead of painter's tape, and I made the mistake of leaving the tape on the bag, and when I was taking the comic out, tape got on the cover, and I caused my own tape pull here with this cover, but you can't really tell because it looks like a piece of glass that's being shattered, but actually this is a tape pull here. It was my mistake. I wasn't going to sell it anyway, but I was like, man, I can't believe I did that to myself. But it was a lesson learned to always take the tape off no matter what. No matter if you think you can take the book out with the tape being on there, of how skilled you are, I will always take the tape off the back of the bag before taking a comic book out. No matter if it's Silver Age, Bronze, Copper, Golden, or Modern, I will always take the tape off the bag. Lesson learned, guys. Lesson learned. Next, we have the Chameleon in Amazing Spider-Man issue 80. I think maybe we got Dimitri. I think that was our version of Chameleon in Spider-Man Far From Home. I would have really liked to see something where he does turn into the Chameleon. His name was Dimitri. It just makes sense to have a mysterious character that's in camouflage, as Mysterio's always playing these tricks and visually toying with our minds. So it just made sense to have Dimitri in Spider-Man Far From Home. Really cool cover here. I really want to see Chameleon come into a MCU movie. I know we had him in Kraven, but to me that just doesn't count. I mean, he was comic accurate though, which was really cool. Next, we have the origin and first appearance of the Kangaroo in Amazing Spider-Man 81. This book also escaped me for a while, but I found it at my local comic shop. But Amazing Spider-Man 81, I don't have an issue 82 or 83, but I do have Amazing Spider-Man issue 84. Again, deal done at a Comic-Con or a comic shop. Amazing Spider-Man issue 84, back at it again with the Kingpin. Moving on, I do not have an Amazing Spider-Man 85, but I do have the debut of the Black Widow's skin-tight costume in Amazing Spider-Man 86. I also bought this at my local comic shop. They run half-off sales sometimes, and just so happened that this was on the wall, and I snagged it immediately. I did not care about the grade of it. I knew this book is really hard to find in high grade and not without spending a pretty penny. So, Amazing Spider-Man 86. I don't have an Amazing Spider-Man 87, but I do have Amazing Spider-Man issue 88. Doc Ock's arms tangling with Spidey. I think it's a really cool effect to him. So I bought this back in my early days of comic shopping. I think I maybe paid 30 to 40 bucks for it, and that was expensive to me back in the day when I started collecting. All right, moving on to Amazing Spider-Man issue 89. Another cool Doc Ock cover. Found it at a local con or comic shop. Moving on to Amazing Spider-Man issue 90 with the death of Captain Stacy. The death of Captain Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. I did not expect that to happen, and I did not expect him, at least in the comic, to know that for him to know that Peter was Spider-Man without Peter telling him. Next, we're moving on to the first appearance of Sam Bullitt in Amazing Spider-Man issue 91. Lower grade version here, but again, that does not bother me at all. Moving on to a really hard book for me to find, and I finally got it this last year. The first battle of Spider-Man versus Iceman in Amazing Spider-Man 92. This is such a really cool cover to me. Who knows if we'll ever see a Spider-Man and X-Men crossover in a film. If Marvel wants to do it, a Avengers vs. X-Men movie, I think that would be legit. I already have the whole 12-issue run, Avengers vs. X-Men, and this would be really cool to see on the big screen, Spider-Man and Iceman battling it out. Moving on to the Amazing Spider-Man issue 93, the first appearance of Arthur Stacy. Got a Prowler cover here. Prowler is a legit villain, and it needs to happen in the movies. Next, I just got this in. If you haven't checked out my latest Instagram mail day, please check it out. I bought an Amazing Spider-Man 17, and I also have now Amazing Spider-Man issue 94, the origin of Spider-Man retold down here where Peter gets bit by the radioactive spider, turns into Spider-Man. This was a hard book for me to find, and I was able to get it at a really great deal. Next, we have Spider-Man going to London in Amazing Spider-Man issue 95. Believe I bought this back in college. Great cover here. London in the background. Really sick. Next, we have the first drug issue, no Comics Code of Authority stamp on it in Amazing Spider-Man issue 96. I thought that was very interesting that the Comics Code of Authority did not approve of this, and I understand why, talking about drugs, and that wasn't what they wanted to publish back in the day. Here it is, Amazing Spider-Man issue 96, another drug issue of no Comics Code of Authority stamp, and Amazing Spider-Man issue 97. I bought this off of Instagram back when I was also my early days. I was buying a lot in my early days of comic book collecting, but this is Amazing Spider-Man issue 97, Green Goblin cover. Back when I was learning about this issue, I thought this was like marker or like some crayon or something like that. And I was like, you know, is that on there? And they're like, no, that's part of the book. And, you know, I gambled on it. I was like, all right, maybe, you know, they could be playing with me on it, but no, I believe that this is part of the cover. Next, we have an Amazing Spider-Man issue 98, another drug issue of the no CCA stamp. I always think that Green Goblin gives Spidey a hell of a run and a hell of a fight, always, and he always will. Will we see another Green Goblin? Probably not. I think that would just tarnish Willem Dafoe's portrayal of the Green Goblin. I think that we need a Hobgoblin now. That's what needs to happen for Spidey to up who he is battling in these movies and just in comics in general. Next, Amazing Spider-Man issue 99. I do not have that one, but I do have the anniversary issue of Amazing Spider-Man 100. I found this last year at a local Comic-Con. And that is the conclusion of this video of Amazing Spider-Man 51 all the way up to issue 100. Again, public service announcement, if you have an Amazing Spider-Man 51, please reach out to me. That book is always escaping me, and if I ever find it in my hands again, I'm not letting it go. Always depends on the price. But if you made it this far in the video, shout out to you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.